Good afternoon. It is July 5th, 2025. I haven't done video in a while. A lot of things have happened since my last video. To let everyone know, if anyone's been following me, which I doubt, but if anyone has, other than people or my Facebook friends, I've been in a rehab facility. I went in for the entire month of June, basically. Just a little bit too much of can't get off the alcohol. It didn't have anything to do with a court order. It was just I voluntarily went to rehab. And that can take up an entire video in and of itself talking about rehab facilities in a behavioral health hospital. But I'm actually going to write a fiction book about, based on real life fiction short story. It's going to be called The Land with No Clocks or The Land of No Clocks. I haven't decided yet. This is a non-alcoholic beer. And they're not bad. They're a little more bitter than the kind of beer that I like, but there's no alcohol, or it's only like 0.05 or 0.5% of alcohol is in it. There's more than that in cough syrup. What they encourage you to do in rehab is to be honest, and for the most part, I always was, but now I'm going to be like brutally honest about it. Being sober sucks, especially right now with basically what kind of shit show that we're in with Trump and this whole just wanting to eliminate anyone who is not going to benefit capitalism. This whole stripping of social safety net. It's almost to the point of being eugenics at this point, and it's very dark. And the fact that people went to a 4th of July Independence Day celebration yesterday either wearing Confederate flags or even Nazi shit. Didn't we fight against these things that we're now accepting from people in Trump's America? Didn't we go to a few whole ass wars? I think I touched on this last year around the same time. All these whole ass wars to fight where we're now readily not only accepting but trying to turn our country back into something that we fought against. Fascism, nationalism. We don't want a crown. Why are we getting it? We don't want an oligarchy. Why are we getting it? We don't want white supremacy. Why are we getting it? We don't want extreme Christian pushed on us, and it's getting pushed on us. And I could devote an entire video talking about how everything that this country's trying to do, which is basically up the numbers of white people and future consumers, wage earners, taxpayers, and soldiers. Everything this country is doing to strip women of all their rights so they can be walking incubators is actually backfiring, because guess what? We women are more and more separating ourselves away from the men. It's just getting worse. The birth rate is going to continue to decline. What this regime is doing is having the opposite effect of what they want. And I'm just laughing my ass off about it. You know why? I'm a nihilist. And if somebody doesn't know what nihilist means they think nothing matters. And really doesn't. Nothing matters. We don't matter. Why are we entitled to continue as a species, the human race? Why are we more entitled than anything else on this earth that's alive to continue to exist? We're not entitled. We just think that we are. Especially the United States citizens that think the entire universe revolves around the United States of America. And these same people that voted for Trump are now getting all the things they rely on taken for them. My sympathy is very slim for those particular people because they knew what they were voting for, or they should have known. Anyway, I'm going back to work on Thursday, and in the meantime, I've got some work to do. There's a compilation of 3 short stories that I've already written, I just need to edit. And the entire title of the compilation is going to be Collateral Damage. But there's going to be 3 titles within that, and they're going to bring back Gear from They Call Her Morlock, as well as Matt from They Call Her Morlock, and Serena, the main character. It's also going to be the origin of what we call the lashers that bring down the grid, and how they do it is kind of implied in there. The 3rd short story within Collateral Damage, which is called The King in Norway, is probably the most depressing thing I've written in a very long time. It's very depressing. I'm thinking, well, I had been thinking about writing The Land with No Clocks and tacking it on as a 4th short story in that series, but I'm just going to hold off and write that as a separate short story, as well as putting an autobiography about myself and how I got to the kind of stories that I write, which is revolving around the human condition, the social issues, the political issues that are going on in this country. Now, the most recent book that I published is called Thrice, A Peculiar Love Story. And a character in it that ended up just being sort of an afterthought, because there's this long story behind Thrice having a different plot than what I ended up publishing. And I had to have another romantic character in it. And he came from pretty much nowhere. And his name is Graham Ferguson. And he ended up being one of the best human beings that I've ever written into life. Somebody that I really wish existed. So he's going to get his own story, and it's going to be called The Boy with the Notebooks. Pretty much Graham Ferguson has this condition called Marfan syndrome, and he got picked on because of it, as well as that he was just an odd kind of guy. He wasn't like the other boys. He liked to write things, and he was always very wise beyond his years and very, very kind. Like, nothing about this man is mean. And in fact, I'm writing a scene starting off kind of a lighthearted story, and Graham is kind of like maybe in his 60s, and he's getting some sort of lifetime achievement award for his music and his fiction writing. He's an erotic fiction writer and poet, and it starts off like kind of a funny story, and then he starts delving into his past through flashback scenes. Is how I'm going to deal with it. And there's a scene where he's 6 years old and he's hidden in this 40s built, crying because one of his first days of his primary school, I don't know what they call it in Scotland. I don't know if they call it first grade. This would have been 1975 when the scene was happening. And he's hiding under his little blanket and chair fort that he built, and he's crying because what he had done during his little crafts section during his first grade class was cut out a little flower, one of the flowers that grows in Scotland. He's in Paisley, and I have a list of them saved somewhere. And not only does he cut it out of construction paper and it looks like this piece of art, he writes a poem about flowers in the middle of his little art project, which he gets ridiculed by the other little kids in class. They're so mean to him. And he goes home and he's in his fort and he's crying. He's got his little flower. He's got his little paper flower clutched to his chest. And he's just crying. And his sister's like, come on, you got to come out. You can have ice cream for dinner. Because she basically, his older sister, is his ward. Because reasons. Just come out. Just come out from your fort. No, and he says he's not going back to school again. And his sister, whose name is Cora, says, well, why don't you go to school tomorrow and tell all those boys that they're so dumb they can't even write their name, blah, blah, blah. And she comes up with a few names that Graham can call him, kind of like fight back. But Graham is not that kind of person even when he was little. And he says, he doesn't say bad words and he doesn't say mean things. Stand-up human being. And the reason I decided I wanted to expand on him is we need more stand-up human beings. And also, I ain't gonna lie, I'm hoping that one day some guy who's one of those fucking incel red pill guys gets mad at me writing a character that they can never reach the bar, because Graham's bar is way up here. And these incels, this bar is way down here as far as the bare minimum they're willing to do. Because they want to blame everybody else that they can't get the job they want or the girlfriend they want, instead of reflecting and maybe bringing up their value just a little bit here. You don't have to be rich. You don't have to have a six-pack. You don't have to be 6 foot tall. You don't have to be good looking. There's no woman that's getting out a ruler and measuring their forehead to chin ratio like some of them think. I thought, be empathetic, talk intelligently, take a shower, take care of your health, and do something. Something besides sit every day behind your computer and whining about how unfair everything is when it's on these guys themselves. They've only got themselves to blame, but they want to go around hating women for things we haven't even done. We're just trying to get along, just trying to take care of ourselves. We're trying to be happy, and we're trying to make communities. That's what women are doing. They're not out there just torturing men and only picking the 666 rule and the 80-20 and all that other bullshit I talk about in Thrice that Harlow is talking to Sebastian about, and then Sebastian's like of a different generation, because like Harlow's like my age and then Sebastian's pushing 70, so they're different generations. And between the fact that he's a baby boomer and the fact that he has self-imposed into this bubble to deal with the trauma of his life, he's never heard of any of this stuff. Whereas Harlow, she knows all this. She knows it all. Kind of like me. Anyway, I'm gonna go. And if anybody has gotten this far into this video and they want to know how they can support me in my sobriety, one, don't negate my feelings. If I feel like it sucks that I'm sober, that's how I feel. It sucks that I'm sober. I mean, it doesn't suck that I'm sober. Feeling sober sucks. Even though a bunch of my health problems have cleared up, it still sucks. Feeling depressed sucks. And it doesn't matter how many things you might tell me that are positive about it, I understand that intellectually. Emotionally, it sucks. Physically, it sucks. Feeling sober all the time sucks. And another way that you can support me is to not treat me like a fucking child. I don't know how it is, as if I was a child, how I could have gotten a master's degree and stayed at a job 17 years and have a credit score over 800 and done all the responsible things, never in trouble with the law whatsoever. Not a child. Don't treat me like one. I don't need to be babysat, because if I'm going to drink, I'm going to drink. I'm under no court order not to drink. If I want to go tomorrow, like literally half a block down to the Arco and buy beer, I'm going to do it, because I'm an adult. So watching over me like a hawk, don't do it. I don't need it. I also don't need more hobbies. I don't need more stuff. And I don't need platitudes. Anyway, I hope everyone has a good day. Bye.